Tell everybody the good news, the core of the joy, and I appreciate that.
She usually gets you there by preaching from across the top.
What's going on, y'all? This is Josh from Team Super Shoe, and welcome back to another episode of The Shoe Show. We are not talking about comfortable shoes like Hey Dudes. Nah, we are talking about the one and only Corey LaJoie, the Super Shoe of NASCAR, and just anything NASCAR related. Super pumped to have you guys here again. We have on the vinyl installer. He's the person that installs the wraps on the number 7 Chevy Camaro, Mr. Will Johnson. He's going to come by and talk to us, tell us what it's like doing his job and kind of like the, kind of the details of what he does day in and day out, and just share some stories behind the walls of Spire Motorsports. He's literally taken time away from his lunch break to talk to us straight from the Spire Motorsports shop. So pretty cool. If you guys could, before I get to Will, please like, comment, review on YouTube. I'm trying to figure out this algorithm stuff, and I think if you start sharing it, maybe share it to Facebook or I don't know, Twitter or whatever other social media stuff. Share it as much as you can because I want to make sure all of the Corey LaJoie fans are getting reached. And if you're on audio, please rate and review. And if you haven't hung out with us on Facebook, come check us out on Facebook. It's a group called Team Super Shoe. And otherwise, y'all, I appreciate you. Come hang out with me and Will, and let's just get to know the rap guy, Mr. Will Johnson. All right, we'll start in 3, 2.
Man, well, I feel honored that y'all asked me to be on the Shoe Show.
All right, y'all, we are back. And, in the 1990s, the late 1990s, wrapping a NASCAR race car was new and was seen as a way to save some money from paint jobs, as well as had a little bit of an aerodynamic advantage, only used by a few teams. Now, every race team wraps their next-gen race cars as a way for NASCAR to kind of oversee the inspections and get away from the paint jobs altogether. Today, we are hanging out with the wrap guy of the number 7 Chevy Spire Motorsports Camaro, the Slim Shady of the Corey LaJoie Hot Rod, Mr. Will Johnson. Will, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, sir?
Doing good, man. Thank you for hanging out with us today and breaking away from you're at the shop right now and breaking away to talk to us fans. It's really cool to get any insight because this is the coolest sport in the world, and any cool stories or it means a lot that you get to hang out with us. So, man, thank you.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, not a problem. It's interesting being the rap guy. It's shy of Corey and the face of the team. We help put on the image that is the car, and really taking a blank canvas that the car is, and getting to create the sponsor and the branding and the partnership for our weekends, and help create Corey's, I guess, background to highlight his day at the racetrack.
Yeah, man. So we wanted to get to know you. You obviously now are working at Spire Motorsports and doing your thing there, but how did you get there? And what's your story?
Yeah, so I started off as a lowly little late model mechanic back in 2003 when I was going to college at UNCC, just up the road here, and I got hired on to work on the Joe Gibbs Racing late model program, which is a now defunct thing, but it was their Drive for Diversity program. Worked with Eric Almirola over there, a couple other drivers as well, Mark Davis, and kind of worked my way up through there, and got not forced into a situation, but kind of trial by fire. I had a car I had to get done, and had to go to the racetrack, and our vinyl guy had gone home for the day, and it was 11 o'clock on a Friday night. We're racing the next morning, so guess what? Somebody grab a squeegee and start figuring this out, and started there. And I was like, you know what? I kind of enjoy doing this, and just kept doing it. And next thing I know, I'm wrapping all their Xfinity cars and wrapping Cup cars, and was there doing that for about 14, 15 years. Left JGR, got into the commercial side of things, did everything from vans to Lamborghinis to Bentleys to all sorts of exotic race cars, buildings, windows, walls, a little bit of everything. And then got myself back into motorsports. Got tied in here back in 2020, 2021, and just really like the guys here. They like my work. Just turns out, it's a good fit and a nice feel for creating a future and moving forward.
Cool. Well, glad to have you over Spire Motorsports. I was given a copy that I'm going to put on the show when I edit it,
Okay.
Of you putting on the Blue Greens Vacation Resorts car together, and I kind of wanted to know, like, could you tell us kind of the summed up version of what all your tasks are when you're putting these vinyl pieces on the car?
A lot of referring to what I like to call the layout Bible. We spend a lot of time having to make sure we hit the exact layout to what the sponsors and everyone agreed to, and then get it clean. I like to do the center line of the car first, hood, roof, deck lid, tail, all those things. If you need to get back to them, for the most part, you got to lay over the side of the car, and I don't like having my stuff all scratched up. I have a lot of pride in the car going out the door looking as close to perfect as humanly possible, doing everything I can to minimize any issues. It helps from a racing standpoint, from an aero reason, and it also helps on making sure we look good for the sponsors and look good for everybody else, and everybody gets the best quality product they can. So,
all right.
Yeah, it's
seemed like it take a lot of seemed like it take a very steady hand.
It takes a lot of patience. If you know me outside of this world, I tend to be short. I think I burn it all up doing the cars, but it's very much getting everything to hit how you want and seeing your finished product before you even really start. Being able to kind of visualize the way the material is going to go. If you think about it, I have to take something that's just a flat piece, and that somehow has to be a rounded shape when it's done, and it's kind of a challenge some days, and especially trying to do it and keep an artwork going the way it's supposed to go. There's a lot of moving sections.
Yeah. Do you have any involvement with like the printing process of all these pieces?
I don't get involved in the printing here, other than just if I see something in a layout when we get new car designs and things like that, asking for panels to be made a certain way, asking for designs to be made a certain way, just so we can, just to make it a little easier. Everything in motorsports is you got to find ways to cut time, not cut corners, but not make it harder than it has to be. Really, the one thing we have to consider as well is, in the event something goes wrong and we hurt a car at the racetrack in practice or in qualifying, I'm not always going to be there to put it on. We got to have guys who aren't necessarily the most experienced in it having to recreate it, and trying to re-wrap a car at the racetrack can be, daunting on its own. And when it's people that aren't used to doing it all the time, it can be even harder. So the more we can make it easy for them as well, it's kind of just some of the forethought. I spend a lot of time getting everything ready on the table so I can minimize my time on the floor putting the car down, and also make it easier for those guys down the road. Hopefully they never have to do anything, but if they do, we've tried to do everything we can to minimize it.
All right. And you mentioned working for Joe Gibbs years back. Did you ever have any hand in like the actual paint job, or you have any opinions of like pros versus cons of wraps versus paint?
Ooh, I did have a little bit of help. A lot of those speedway cars, the older speedway cars, where you would paint them and paint some and put graphics on and clear coat over, and all those headaches. And I think there's a lot you could do with vinyl now, and the technology keeps getting better with the printers and just the actual base materials that you work with, that there's not a whole lot you can't do with vinyl that you can only do with paint. That used to not be the case. 10 years ago, I think it was Jeff Gordon's car. They just redid it for the All-Star race, where you had to use that paint, but now that same basic colors and these chrome illusions are now available in vinyl, and that's something that just technology just keeps shifting, and it's more readily available for teams and for customers as well, and people that can put stuff like that on their street cars if they want. The concept of wrapping something with chrome, I think, is lost. It always seemed to be this hard process 15 years ago. And if we want, I mean, you see chrome numbers on cars all the time.
Right.
In sports cars, you see whole cars that are chrome, and it's all vinyl. And it's a very different way from before. I think there's definitely a lot to the time, a huge time and cost savings. To roll a car back from a racetrack, especially with the different sponsors you have now, where you'll have a different sponsor week to week to week. Well, your backup car has to be ready, and to roll a car back in the paint shop, respray, go through taping it off. It's more weight, it's more time. It's a 2-day process. We can rewrap a car in 4 or 5 hours, and that's something that just wasn't available before. So that added time has cost, has weight, and we can keep it pretty close to the same as a wrap week to week to week.
I got you. All right. And do you? I would imagine you travel with the team. Do you have what's the deal with the inspection process of where if they wanted to look under the wrap, like how does that all play out at the track?
At the track, for the most part, unless there's something that they're screaming at you about, you don't have to pull a wrap off the car. I think it was last year, the JGR guys were doing something trick, and it was obvious through the wrap. You could see that they were doing something that shouldn't be done, and it shows up. The wrap itself is only about 8 or 10 thousandths thick, depending on which particular material you're using. So it shows the undersurface very, very clearly what's happened underneath it. It's really hard to hide anything if you're trying to get away with it. And when they take the cars like back to the NASCAR R&D center, when you have that R&D teardown, they rip everything off. That car comes back to you as boxes and trailer parts, and every panel they go rip material off, they rip the vinyl off, they go through every aspect, and they stumbling over myself. I'm sorry, but they do not want anybody messing with this stuff. So it's fortunately they won't make you pull it off until you have to. They don't want to put the teams at a disadvantage, but it's not hard to see a lot of times.
Did you say 8 or 10,000? Is that $8,000 or $10,000?
No. 8 or 10 thousandths of an inch. So it's very.
Okay.
Actually, I have a piece right here. So once you take the backing paper off, which kind of protects the adhesive, it is very, very thin. So we're working with a product, you can't even really see it. Right. It's there, but so it shows the undersurface very closely. So if you say you're wrapping a street car that had stone chips in the nose, if you don't sand all that smooth first, you will still see in a new wrap on top all the little stone chips right on top of the wrap. And it's just part of the car, so there's not much you can do to stop that. Yes, it's all one color now, or all whatever image you want, but all those imperfections show up.
Okay, all right. And so obviously you are you're on team number 2 of your career. Do you have like a career goal? Do you have something that maybe you want to get to someday?
We're in the process of trying to build this into its own independent business. I wrap and install here for Spire Motorsports. We do our cup cars, our truck, our Xfinity car as well. But we're also trying to start offering services outside of our race team and be able to go and do more for, whether it be commercial vehicles, street cars, some of the personal vehicles, things on their houses, or other race teams, whoever needs something. I have the experience to do a lot of that. I've got a new guy, Thomas, who I'm starting to train, so we have more help available to start be an asset to other organizations, whether it be racing or non-racing.
I got you. So I've been doing this show for a little over a year, and I've had on quite a few guests, and there's been mentions of pranks and just funny stories from Spire. How it's a really good knit family out there. Wanted to know, do you have anything funny that maybe some of the fans out here might enjoy? Anything that is something that you have told over and over again, or?
Well, if you're wanting to come by the race shop and just see what we do and check out the environment here a little bit, there's nothing like a Friday. If you come by on a Friday morning and all the guys, we're loose, the weekend's coming up, and you never know what music's playing. There's guys, there's been days that it's late 90s. I could have swore we were at prom. It was Britney Spears followed by NSYNC, and guys just laughing just because you don't know what's next. And you're working on something or walk by and somebody's singing, Baby Got Back from underneath a car, and you don't know what's happening. So it's just a good time. We being a small knit group, it's definitely in a much more enjoyable environment. It's different. It's when you hear some of these big places saying, hey, they're a family, when it's 30 or 35 guys working on the car versus 300, it's a different version of family. Everybody really does have each other's back, and it's not, this group of guys had an issue this week. It's, hey, John, what the heck did you do to me? And what's the issue, and how can we all work together to fix it and make things better? So it's definitely a much more open and free-flowing environment.
All right. Well, so we have after this episode airs, it's going to be Sonoma and Nashville coming up next. Corey goes and wins that car, has your wrap on it. What are you drinking in Victory Lane?
Oh, boy. Whatever I can get my hands on. Definitely going to be rocking a Celsius for sure. Always got to never leave home without them. And they keep us going and makes the midnight hours every so often work. I don't care what it is, as long as it's going to stain the wrap and I got confetti on it after.
Hell yeah.
So that's the key goal, right? You want them to come back. I don't mind them coming back dirty, especially when it's got confetti and drinks, and pour a little Celsius on there, and we had a good time.
Yeah. All right. Well, Will, man, thank you so much for taking the time out of your lunch break at Spire Motorsports to come hang out with us on the Shoe Show. Really means a lot, man.
Absolutely, Joshua. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, brother. Take care.
See ya. Bye.
Will, thank you once again for coming on the Shoe Show. Man, it means a ton to have you take the time out of your day to hang out with us on Team Super Shoe and on the Shoe Show. We are just a bunch of big fans that love to hear the ins and outs of the greatest sport in the world, NASCAR. So otherwise, y'all, I appreciate you so much for hanging out with me. Again, if you are on YouTube, please like, share, comment. Please share it on Facebook, Twitter, anything like that. Trying to make sure that more and more Corey LaJoie fans are getting reached so that we are all together. We are so far 3,000 members strong on Team Super Shoe. If you have not come to that, it's on a group on Facebook. And if you listen to audio, please rate and review. And I thank you so much for listening. Otherwise, y'all, I appreciate you once again. We have some good episodes coming up, a lot of good surprises. So y'all, I'll see you on the 17th, and y'all, God bless, stay safe, and go Corey LaJoie.